Welcome to the catalog cult, where we explore the best practices in catalog advertising. I'm Dan Pantelo, founder and CEO of Marpipe. Today, we're diving into how to leverage creative in DPA as a strategic growth driver. You may think your plain image catalog ads are working just fine, but likely they're not reaching their full potential. As a matter of fact, I can guarantee you that they're not. Today, we're going to cover why creative design matters in catalog ads, examples of strategic design elements to improve performance, how to leverage feed categorization for better performance, and the importance of continuous testing to stay ahead. A lot of people think that their regular, raw, plain Jane, unedited DPA creative is performing just fine. But the truth is, this is severely under optimized. Now, creative design in catalog ads isn't about aesthetics, it's about driving better performance, which makes it different from other ad categories. Standard catalog ads can work pretty well without any creative editing, but without any creative design or direction, you're really just leaving your ROAS on the table. Smart creative decisions when it comes to your DPA can have a lot of impact on your campaigns. It's going to increase ad relevance to specific audiences. It's going to provide actionable information that's going to drive faster conversions, and you'll be able to fully leverage Meta's algorithm, which is really built for ads that stick out from the feed rather than try to blend in. So really, creative design isn't just a nice to have when it comes to your DPA. It's essential to unlocking the full potential of your DPAs. The effort to reward ratio of including creative design in your DPA, I mean, it's a no-brainer. You might be running DPA ads that work just fine, and you're spending money on them because they work. So, right, like why change anything? But by improving the creative, by making a simple like design overlay, or just by even something as small as just including your branding, you're going to be making so much use of the impressions you're already paying for. It's really simple to add creative direction in your DPA. Not only do you get a performance increase from your baseline that you're used to, maybe your baseline is great, fine, that's awesome. Why not optimize it further? That's like saying, I already have enough money, I don't need more. We're here to run businesses. So you want to optimize your performance. It's easy to add a design that can do that. Number two is brand lift and brand recall. Have your branding in your DPA, because you're spending all that money to show impressions to people that are unbranded. Why? Brand it, right? So you're not just hurting performance, you're also hurting your brand if you're not including any creative direction in your DPA. For those two reasons, it seems like a no-brainer to apply some creative thought to your DPA. You get better brand lift and better performance. It seems incumbent upon you as a business owner to take that seriously. In terms of the specific performance increase, that really varies. Obviously, like that varies from brand to brand. That's like saying like, how much better will my videos do if I make better videos? It's a nebulous thing. It varies. And we get people asking all the time, how much better can I expect branded DPA to perform? And, like we can't promise like a specific number, but generally, I can say that on average, we see that brands that come on board to a platform like Marpipe, where they can apply creative direction to their DPA, we do see increases that range a 25% increase to a 2x increase in ROAS, but that depends on the quality of the creative, the seasonality, the type of business it is, right? So there's a lot of factors at play, but we like to tell people that if you take this seriously, at minimum, you can expect a 10 to 15% performance increase on your main metric. That's the under promise, over deliver threshold we like to tell people. Yeah. So even if you're not a creative or designer at all, and you're just a performance marketer, and you're concerned about the amount of bandwidth or time it's going to take you to apply creative direction to your DPA, applying creative to your DPA is going to be the lowest lift creative, maybe aside from coming up with copy for Google ads, for search ads, right? If you can open up Canva and copy and paste your brand's logo and then also put in some copywriting on why your brand is good, you pass the threshold, you're qualified to apply creative direction to your DPA, because that's really all it takes at a minimum. All you need to do to use a tool like a Marpipe, it's like Canva, right? You're just dragging and dropping, a product image. You can put in your logo, product attributes, things related to the SKU that educate the consumer more, like title and price. And you can put in value props or testimonials, right? I mean, it's literally, if you can drag and drop like on something like Canva, you can apply creative direction to your DPA. It's that easy, right? It's way easier than doing a UGC shoot or a static image shoot. You're literally just taking your existing product catalog and dragging and dropping some stuff on a canvas that creates a template that applies to all of your SKUs. So the lift is extremely low. If you can drag and drop a few things on a slide deck or Canva, you can improve your DPA performance with a tool like Marpipe. If you're a performance marketer that is like obsessed with like hacking the algorithm, so to speak, you're gonna absolutely want to leverage copy and creative elements in your DPA creative, because of course we all know that the algorithm is like reading what your images look like, right? And using that to inform targeting to a certain extent, right? There's a big saying in the community that your creative is your targeting, right? If you design an ad and you put it on broad targeting, it's going to target people based on what it reads and sees in your creative, right? So, of course, the algorithm is making decisions on who gets served your ads and for what price based on the determined quality of the creative you're serving. That effect is actually really strong in DPA. The more information you're able to include, the more visual information you can include there, the more you benefit the targeting, which is, like a hacking an algorithm boost that you wouldn't otherwise have with just regular DPA. So there's a ton of things that you can put into your ads that are going to increase your performance. And based on what we have seen from our end, we power DPA for hundreds of brands. We actually just pulled a stat where we saw that in the past 30 days, there's been over $280 million of ad spend that has gone behind Marpipe enriched catalogs. That's just the past 30 days. So because we have so much DPA running through us and we see so much creative get tested on DPA, we've pulled together a list for you of things that we would highly recommend for you to try if you're going to test out DPA creative. One of the things that we saw works really well is FOMO elements, right? So creating urgency with dynamic templates. For example, if there's a sale event happening and there's a certain time at which it ends, like all sales events, you want to be able to emphasize in your DPA, there are 3 days left, there are 2 days left, right? The sale is ticking down. You want to have that ticking time effect, which you can easily do in your DPA, right? With a tool like Marpipe, you can set counters that are live based on aspects in your product feed. For example, if the sale is over in 2 days, the dynamic product ad will know that. And when it renders, it'll say 3 days left, 2 days left, 1 day left, 3 hours left, right? You can set that up, and that tends to work really well. Same idea for items that are low in stock, right? So you can actually set up your DPA to say like only 70 left in stock, only 60 left in stock, or under 100 left in stock. And that'll real time update how you want it to based on what's actually happening in your product feed. So that's one way to really take advantage of the dynamic part of dynamic product ads. These FOMO sort of creative strategies really leverage things that are coming and going, encouraging people to act faster. We see that the consideration time it takes someone to convert on an ad definitely goes down when you have creative elements like that involved. It boosts click through, it boosts conversion rates. So it's definitely something worth testing. As long as you have stock that's tracking your feed, which you definitely do, everyone does, you'll be able to set rules for certain DPA filters to apply in certain scenarios. You can make a design and say this design will override any other design if the stock is below 100. By building a rules-based system of design, you can make sure that certain designs appear in certain scenarios based on what's going on in the feed, which makes it easy to set up rules for like designs to apply to things based on like low inventory count or certain like sale promotions, which kind of brings me to my next point. If you're running sales, you want to make the discounts clear. In regular DPA, if an item is on sale, it's not going to make it obvious that that item is on sale in your DPA creative, right? Because there's just one area for the live price. So if you're advertising some SKUs and it's like a $60 shoe that's on sale for $40, all the person in the DPA that is going to see is that the shoe costs $40 right now, right? They're not going to know that the actual fair market value price of that item is $60 and they're getting a $20 discount. That should be made really obvious in DPA creative. And if you're not editing your DPA creative, that is not obvious. Just by being able to put in like dynamic pricing elements that shows like original price, strike through, sale price, discount percentage in the actual creative, like you normally would if you were making a static image ad, you can do that dynamically with your DPA and make it really obvious that a sale event is going on. Obviously, why would you run sales and DPA without having creative direction that makes it obvious that there's a sale happening in your DPA? If you're not doing that, you should be. There's a lot of different ways to design around a sale. You can showcase your discount codes, like use code SAVE30 for 30% off. You can create banners that highlight just the savings percentage, like save up to 30% off on our Labor Day sale. Or you can do like specific strike throughs on like that exact item's price and what the new price is. Is there one superior way? No, it's different for every brand. So we definitely encourage brands to test those main formats to figure out what works best. So yeah, that's one of the things that is definitely worth testing. Of course, there's a ton of brands out there that are like, hey, sales and discounting and FOMO is not our thing, right? Like there's two types of brands out there. There's brands that run discounts and brands who don't. Brands who don't run discounts are typically the type of brands who focus on lifestyle imagery, who focus on the value props, and showcasing certain elements that works well for more of like a premium price point. One of the things that we really encourage even discount brands to do is to include lifestyle imagery in your creative that gives more context behind the product, maybe elevates a simple product image into something more in context. Also highlighting the specific value props, like the durability of the hiking boots or the features that might be included in that product. Calling that out with copy the same way you're probably already doing in your image and video ads. Just applying that to DPA is definitely worth testing because it's just going to give more information behind your product behind just a standalone raw unedited, SKU image. So yeah, we encourage testing that. Sometimes there is a reputation of DPA as being, not the right ad format for like luxury items. This couldn't be further from the truth. Some of our biggest clients who run like over 90% of their ad spend goes to DPA are like luxury leather handbags from fashion houses that we've all heard of, but whose names I can't say because we're under NDA. Jewelry companies that have an average order value in the thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars, right? Furniture brands that have their retail locations in the Hamptons, right? So this is not your regular IKEA furniture. Actually, the case is even made stronger for DPA the more expensive your product is. If you're a luxury brand, you might have written off DPA because you think you have no creative control over it. But when these brands realize that they can have complete creative control over their DPA and they can make it look like what they want, they see that it works really well. It's usually the lack of creative control that has stopped high AOV or luxury brands from trying DPA, but that's not a problem anymore, especially with tools like Marpipe. So it's important to try. One other tip that I'd make sure is included for like DPA creative testing is what we've covered so far covers more of the evergreen territory. Once you figure out the templates that work for you, you can run those forever. They won't hit creative fatigue, by the way, because it's DPA. That's one added benefit. There's a lot of strategies and creative tips for non-evergreen DPA templates. So things like that are holiday themed or seasonal, right? For example, we have a brand that's about to have a Super Bowl commercial, and they reached out to us and said, hey, we'd love our DPA to have turf and a football theme. That's a great way to align your DPA that's going to be retargeting all those site visitors with what they just saw on the Super Bowl ad. Obviously, things like Valentine's Day, Labor Day or Memorial Day sale, those things should always be included in your DPA when they're a big part of your marketing strategy on any given seasonal period. So, seasonal relevance ensures that your ads match with the user's mindset and capitalize on higher spend periods. If your product is giftable for Valentine's Day, your DPA needs to reflect that. Just having that mindset to capitalize on all the things you would normally run from a seasonal sense with your regular image and video ads, you should be doing with your DPA also. The one other thing that goes like a step beyond the creative, but is also related to the creative, is strategic feed categorization, right? So some creatives might apply to only certain categories of your feed. For example, if you're a clothing retailer and you sell men's and women's collections, you might want to create specific creatives that don't apply to your full feed, right? You might want to make a design that talks about men's clothing and men's lifestyle, and then have different designs for women's lifestyle, and then have different treatments that would only apply to like kids clothing, right? And so it's one of the things we really encourage people to do. If your feed lends itself to categorization among different SKU categories, we encourage creating creative and design treatments for certain segments of your feed and applying those there and running those and seeing how those perform against the others. This is, again, really easy to set up with a rules-based system. You can make a design that says, like, if it's men's, then show this design. But if it's women's category, show this design. So that's easy to set up, again, and leverages segmentation in a smart way with creative. One of the things that's a major theme right now with retailers and direct-to-consumer brands is personalization, right? Ideally, all of your advertising and your website experience is personalized to each user's journey, right? The question is, how do we get there? Well, personalization is impossible to do with regular ads, right? With regular static image or video ads, how could you possibly personalize the experience when someone sees that ad? You're serving this to your whole audience. So it's like the opposite of personalization. DPA is the inverse of that. DPA can be fully personalized to that user's specific demographics or product subcategory interest. So somebody who may be interested in like men's shoes could be getting a different DPA treatment than someone who's interested in men's coats. And those two people are getting a different creative treatment than a woman who's interested in tops. And that's all coming from the same brand from one DPA campaign. One DPA campaign can be as personalized as you want down to the demographic and category level. All you need to do is just build a system, like a rule-based logic tree of like, if it's this category, show this design. And that creates a much more personalized experience. Personalization equals more performance, more conversions. People pay a lot of money for personalization software. How do you make your ads personalized? DPA is a really easy way to do that. Then one other thing I would throw in is just making sure that we hit on video in DPA and interactive format. Video in DPA is growing so fast. We have so many of our customers at Marpipe asking about our video features, which are new and performing really well right now. So obviously, like video in DPA is new, and people are just learning how to leverage that. With a tool like Marpipe, you can make a video for every single SKU in your catalog automatically, like right away, which normally would take a lot of resources to do. Now we've eliminated that hurdle. So you can build video templates, run your feed through them, and test them against each other and see how well does video DPA perform against regular static. And you can test multiple video DPA designs against each other. When you have the right creative strategy, video is gonna like stop more thumbs in the feed. It has a bigger thumb stopping effect because it goes beyond what people are used to in DPA, which is just a regular static carousel. Trying different videos that incorporate either basic motion or a slideshow format is really simple to set up. It's just like making several slides. You can then try testing real motion elements in your DPA for the first time if you haven't yet. So I'd recommend you start testing static stuff because it's just easier to get off the ground. But then once you figure out what works well for static, try throwing some motion in there too. That's just another creative format change that can make an impact on your performance. I just threw a lot at you in terms of what kinds of creative direction you should be testing, what things you should include, right? There's so many, obviously there's infinite creative possibilities. Ultimately, the moral of the story is you should treat creative testing in your DPA the same way that you treat creative testing in your regular ad creative. You're already ordering tons of different static image and video creative for you to test. You should always be doing that. But why aren't you doing it with your DPA also? With a tool that allows you to manage the creative, to control your DPA creative, you can apply all of the creative testing concepts that you normally would with your regular creative. You should be testing that in DPA as well. You should think about the testing setup and the structure the same way, right? A/B test them against each other, see which ones perform. You can run up to 20 different variations of your feed at the same time against each other. That's Facebook's limit. We rarely see people get even close to that limit, but you should always have your BAU DPA campaign and then your challengers, right? So like, things that you're testing in your regular campaigns, try to include them in your DPA designs and see if they can outperform and beat out your business as usual winner. Keep testing like you normally would. Generally, brands that continue to succeed in DPA have an always on testing approach. That's definitely something we'd recommend. Well, the challengers that can win can sometimes be the most unexpected ones, right? Like we just had a brand who had this really complex DPA setup. It was very beautiful. It was a sophisticated template that incorporated a lot of data from the feeds. It had the product title, the brand, the price, like a strike through. But this brand didn't have lifestyle imagery in their feed. So this template that they designed that worked for their whole feed and had all of these elements, looked beautiful across thousands of SKUs. They tested one against it that just had the product image and a lifestyle image. That's it. Two elements side by side. Really simple template. That one took the cake as a challenger. Like that one came and it was almost 2x better performing than the original feed, and it was way simpler. So they did something that involved less work and got more of a reward for it. But also, it was including lifestyle imagery for the first time, which they had never done before. Another example is we have a brand that they have their winning DPA design right now, and they upgraded to video, and they pretty much they just took the same design and they took the product image and just started to rotate it a little bit in the video. Like all it does is shake around a little bit. That's the only change, and the performance is substantially better. So small little changes can have really big impacts, which is why it's important to never discount a challenger. Try everything. We also have a huge library of really interesting DPA creative possibilities that you can take a look at. If you go to marpipe.com and go to learn in our menu, you'll see creative examples from other brands of what's possible with your DPA creative. So you can see tons of designs that leverage different elements of the creative elements that we've talked about. We have a whole library of creative inspiration that you can pull from and look through. You could replicate any of those designs for your own brand and try them on your own. That is all for this episode of the Catalog Cult. Creative design in DPAs is the key to unlocking better performance by incorporating strategic elements like urgency, sales, product features, seasonal relevance, feed categorization, and video formats. You can take your plain Jane raw image catalog ads to the next level. If you're ready to implement these strategies, connect with me on LinkedIn or visit marpipe.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the Catalog Cult for more insights, best practices, and hacks for the DPA algorithm. So until next time, keep testing, keep optimizing, and keep winning with catalog ads. I'll see you next time.